Right then guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the GolfMagic YouTube channel. Now today you join me at Mannings Heath Golf and Wine Estate for a lovely, albeit rather windy day to test out two different sets of golf clubs. Now behind me in this wonderful buggy here, I have got a brand new set of Benross golf clubs, a complete full set that you can purchase from American Golf, the UK's #1 retailer, for a very affordable price. What is that price you ask? Well, right here. As you can see, for a full set to driver, 3-wood, hybrid, all irons, wedges and a putter, that costs less than a full set of golf clubs. But the only downside from this is you're not custom fitted for it. They all have standard stock regular shafts. So you may think, if you're trying to get into the game, is that going to make you play worse golf? Well, I don't think so, because when you get into the game of golf, it's not too important until you start getting a consistent swing. Is there much point of spending £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 on a full set of golf clubs? Well, we'll find out. These Benross clubs are actually pretty nice. So let's go through the clubs right now and just talk a little bit about the design. First up, let's go for the wood. So we've got a driver, a 3-wood and a 4 hybrid here today. And the driver is actually quite appealing. These clubs are targeted more at beginners, and you can see with 10.5 degrees and also with a regular shaft, it's going to produce some high launch and probably some high spin to help you guys get it in the air. Will this be right for my game? Well, I play an X-Flex shaft, so I'm expecting a little bit high spin and maybe a little bit some wary dispersion in comparison to my current gamer, which is a Callaway low spin model, and it still gets a bit too high spin, to be honest. The other metalwoods continue this trend in terms of design, and they again are quite appealing and do look quite nice down at address as well. You can see with the driver, with the hybrid, with the other metalwood, they look pretty nice down at address, pretty easy to hit, and I feel pretty comfortable with them. Do they look worse than custom fit clubs? I don't think so, but they may not be as good in terms of dispersion and distance. Now let's talk about the irons, because I've got these in 5 to pitching wedge, and they look like a beginner's set of clubs. If you put these in my hand and then compared them to another set of clubs that maybe are a higher price bracket, to be honest, from design alone, I wouldn't be able to tell the difference that much. And that's just because they look pretty decent. They've got like chrome finish, they are quite shiny, and they've got a lot of offset as well. But what will be really important here is to see how they actually perform on the course. Lastly, we have a 60-degree wedge and a putter. The 60-degree wedge, not really my cup of tea. As you can see, it's got a very big sole, a lot of offset. The hosel was a little bit strangely positioned in comparison to some nice straight edge wedges, such as the TaylorMade wedges, Callaway wedges. But I can understand why this is pushing towards that higher handicap player, because it looks very easy to hit, especially on those chip shots. This set will be a very interesting comparison. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it around 3 holes here at Mannings Heath Golf and Wine Estate. I'm going to put on the Kingfisher course, I'm going to play a par 4, a par 5 and then a par 3. It's quite a windy day today, so with a high launch club with some high spin, this could factor in and perhaps make some interesting results. But I'm interested to see how they feel, because I've got no data here, but to be honest, that's not that important. The important thing here is to see how I get on and how I score. Let's jump right into it. Right, so as it was very windy on that day, I thought I'd give a little bit of a commentary as to how I found these 3 holes at Mannings Heath Golf and Wine Estate. So my first shot here in the par 4, about 370 yards. Unfortunately, for both swings here, I hit 2 absolute stinkers. Funnily enough, the Benross club was the better strike of the 2. The iron with my custom fit club, the P770, was so far out of the toe, it did not go very far at all for a 5 iron. Must have gone about 180 yards. Whereas the Benross club went a little bit further with the 5 iron, probably about 200, maybe a bit less, about 190, which led me to hit some quite difficult shots. It was about 145 yards out of the rough. I had to hit a little bit of a knockdown shot, and unfortunately I wasn't really thinking about course management, so I didn't really think about the wind in play, which was quite heavily downwind and a little bit off the left. So I hit 2 very good shots actually, both with the Benross and with the TaylorMade P770s, but they went a little bit long and right of the green, more or less at the exact same distances. So that led me to hit a pitching wedge with both clubs. So I had a pitching wedge with the P770 and a pitching wedge with the Benross clubs, hitting a nice little pitch and run. And both of these were okay. You can see here with the TaylorMade one, it went a little bit closer, but it was a bit trickier of a putt. Whereas the pitching wedge with the Benross ran out a little bit more, was a little bit less feedback than expected, and left me with actually a little bit of a nicer putt, but it was about 10 foot uphill. The first try with the Benross putter was here. The Benross putter does look a bit strange for me. It doesn't look that high quality, and the feel was instant from this putt here. You can see I did miss it. It wasn't the best stroke, but I have to admit the feel of this putter wasn't the best. The putter I was using for my custom fit set is an Odyssey, triple track technology, 35 inches, and I drained it, which I was very happy with. A bit of a scrambly part for a 370 yard par 4, but we move on to the par 5. Now, this par 5 is a bit of an interesting one because it really isn't a driver hole. It's more or less a 6 iron than a wedge. But I wanted to get most experience out of the Benross clubs and give it a direct comparison, so I hit the driver and I also hit my driver as well with my custom fit set. Now, both of these went quite far right. There is some thick fescue and also an aligning fairway. I went about 20 to 30 yards right and actually ended up just on the other fairway, which I think is the 7th or 6th hole at Mannings Heath. Ended up okay, but you could see what was really notable here is the distance dispersion. You can see here that the Benross was about 15 to 20 yards further back, but on the exact same line, and I'd attribute that to the high launch and high spin you would get from this driver. The feel of it was okay, but a little bit shorter, and that led me to use different clubs for this approach shot. So for the Benross, I used the 4 hybrid, and yeah, I didn't hit a very good shot in terms of the actual result. I struck it straight out the middle, but blocked it straight right, probably about 20 yards right of my target, but it was just off the green because this is a double pin green for the 9-hole course at Mannings Heath. And for my actual custom fit set, I hit a 4 iron, and it just trickled into the bunker, which actually wasn't a bad shot. Again, a little bit out the toe, but it was a nice flight, and it just ended up short. So this led me with 2 very interesting shots here. With the Benross club, it was a 56-degree wedge that I had to really look at the green and actually land it on a very good target area. I was about 30 to 40 yards away, and I actually hit a really good shot, but just pulled it a little bit, and it ended up about 10 foot from the hole. But I actually really like this sand wedge's feel. It got a little bit of feedback as well, and for me, for any type of club I'm hitting there, I'd be very happy with that. For my 56-degree custom fit club that I used out of the bunker, again, I hit a very good shot here to about 5 foot. So short game wise, I'm actually really impressed so far. Now going to putters, went back to the Benross putter for this birdie putt, but I just missed it. This was in all the way for me, but it just dive bombed at the end, right to the left, and I had to settle for a par. With my Odyssey putter, well, you can't make them all, and I just misread this one. I played it just outside the left, and it went dead straight, which was quite unfortunate. But being +1 and even par through 2 holes, let's now bring it back to present tense Alex and talk about the last hole.
Last hole, par 3. It's 160 yards, a 158 to the middle, but it's got quite a stiff, at least a 1 club breeze. So I'm going to hit 7 irons in both the custom fit clubs and the Benross clubs and see where they both end up. I'm expecting the Benross club to go up short, but you never know. My best swing, that one. It's the same. So the custom fit is in a lot better a position. Still not great, but it should be a relatively easy up and down. the Benross one is in a bit of trouble. Bunker to go over. I have got a lob wedge. This will really test it on the last hole. Spin. Oh. I mean, it's pretty good. A little bit of spin on that one as well. Get in, get in, get in. Easy par. Yes. Oh. Good one to finish, good one to finish.
Right then guys, that brings me to the end of this 3-hole challenge. As you can see, I finished +1 with the Benross clubs, and with the custom fit clubs, I finished even par. You can kind of see I was grinding a little bit over these 3 holes, didn't have the perfect swing, and that's where I feel that maybe the custom fit clubs come into play, because the dispersion was still pretty tight, and I did feel like from a mental point of view, I'm a little bit more comfortable with that. But +1 still with the Benross clubs, I'm thinking that's actually pretty good, because for regular shafts, this isn't right for my game. It will be right for a lot of high handicappers games who are just getting into it, but it's not particularly right for me. So I was expecting some diminishing results, but I didn't really get that. Talking about feel of the clubs, especially the irons, I'm really impressed by the irons because they felt very strong. They're hot off the face, they're not dull at all. and they feel like a pretty high market iron actually. As I compared them during the 3 holes to the TaylorMade P790s, they feel hot, they feel like they can really spring off the face, and if you hit it out the middle, it feels pretty good. Although they are high handicap clubs, you do know when you hit it out of the toe and out of the heel, which I think is one thing. Getting a slightly lower budget set, although they are forgiving, you are still going to get some sort of weakened dispersion if you do hit it out the toe, if you thin it, but that's to be expected, and it's not actually that bad. The metalwoods are okay. I am more in favour of the irons, but the metalwoods do still perform. As you can see on the second hole, my driver still did get out there about 265 yards, with the other one going about 290 yards. I'm not too surprised by that, but talking along a feel basis for the drivers, they were slightly tinny, but they weren't bad, they weren't horrible to hit. They are just a little bit more dull and muted than some Callaways, some TaylorMades, some Cobra drivers, which isn't too surprising because they are lacking a little bit in technology, but they do still get out there. The 60-degree wedge, a very entertaining club, looks quite funky, but it did perform very well. I hit 2 shots with it on the second hole and on the third hole, and they both were very, very good. You could see that on the second hole, I hit a very nice chip with a little bit of spin, which I wasn't expecting at all with a club that is lower budget. And then on the third hole as well, it does look a bit strange, but I performed very well there too, hitting it over a bunker to about 8 foot, and I made the putt. Talking about putts, let's talk about the putter. It was a bit of a strange one, and this is what I was kind of expecting with this putter, because if you get a single individual club like a putter from a brand like TaylorMade, Odyssey, Ping, Cobra now, they really put a lot of work into it, and that's why they cost £200, £300, £400. This putter for a full set, I wasn't expecting to feel as nice, and that's exactly what happened. It did feel a little bit tinny, a little bit muted, but then again, the results that I got out of it were absolutely fine. I drained an 8-footer on the last for a par, and it didn't really put me off. So as long as you keep mentally strong with these clubs and don't think that they're bad, because they're not, you'll play well. That's it for this comparison, guys. If you do want to check out the Benross golf clubs on American Golf, check the description because we put a link there. I really do think if you're starting out the game, if you want a set that doesn't break the bank, I know how much golf costs, I really do. When I first started golf, I couldn't afford anything, and this would be the exact set that I'd want, and the exact set I'm recommending to someone who's just starting the game and doesn't want to spend £5,000, because to be honest, when you start the game of golf, your swing is going to change dramatically, so you don't want to get something custom fit and then get lessons and it be completely different. So this set, very positive from me. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video today, comparing some budget versus custom fit golf clubs. If you have, make sure to leave a like down below, and let me know if you guys use custom fit or off the rack golf clubs, because I think it's actually going to be a lot more even than I think. If you guys are new to the GolfMagic YouTube channel, hit that like down below. It really helps me, it really does, I promise you. And also, if you guys are new to the GolfMagic YouTube channel, yeah, why don't you hit that subscribe button as well to keep up to date with all of our golf videos. We've got a lot of very, very exciting videos coming soon. I can guarantee you of that. So keep your eyes peeled, and I promise you won't be disappointed. Myself, Benross, and all my custom fit golf clubs, we'll see you guys at the next video.